Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook.
We are monsters. We give and we take.
For those that are new around here, the name's Rainy. I read all types of books, especially fantasy romance. If you're interested in that, like and subscribe to my channel down below. Today is a very special video as I am going to be sharing recommendations and my TBR for the Mystic Readathon, which is for all lovers of Vampire Diaries, which if you don't watch Vampire Diaries, you should. It's a fabulous, fabulous show. And this is hosted by the lovely Nell from Nell Diamond, and she has created a magical, fun readathon that's all Vampire Diaries themed. And there are 4 wonderful teams that you can join. You can join Team Vampires, Team Human, Team Witches, or Team Werewolves, which is the team that I'm at. Where are my wolfies at? And you can get cool merch, like this shirt right here. But you should join the Mystic Falls Readathon, and make sure to go join us. I will tag Nell underneath this video. I'll put her readathon down below along with the announcement video so that you can go support her and follow us. And I will say, and it's a competitive readathon, but there is an option to do the readathon if you don't wish to be competitive and you just want to support your team, but you don't want to feel overwhelmed. There's a light mode for this. So if you're interested and you still want to be able to support a team, then go do it down there. And I will say one more time, join Team Werewolf. And as far as what this video is going to be doing is I am going to be sharing recommendations. So there are community prompts that everybody can use, and you can stack those prompts for like 20 points each. And then we have faction prompts. And so for the different factions, like for Team Werewolf, where there are specific prompts that only werewolves can do, and they're worth 50 points each. However, you can't stack them. You can only read one book for each of the things. And so I'm going to be sharing recommendations for the werewolf faction prompt, so like if you're werewolf specific, and then I'm also going to share what hopefully will be on my TBR for that, because obviously I want to get as much points as possible. And then yeah, so hopefully you get some good recommendations out of this, and I recommend you checking out, once you get into the Discord, there is a channel for all of the faction leaders have shared their TBRs, and so there are some for all of the teams so far. Leandra shared one with all different types of supernatural characters. Brittany shared one about vampires. I'm pretty sure Katie shared one about vampires. I think there's another witch one by Brooklyn out. There are a lot of really good videos out, so make sure to check them all and support all the fabulous creators. But I'm running Team Werewolves with my friends Keita, Sam, and Meredith, so it's gonna be a blast. But let's dive in to the 4 different prompts that you can read as a werewolf and some recommendations I have, and then I'll share my TBR for them. So the first one is to read a book with a black cover, and I have a couple of suggestions for you. The first one I don't actually have in my hands, and it is black. The main thing of it is black. There's just gold all over the front of it, but I'm still going to go with it. And that is A Touch of Golden Madness by K.L. DeVore. I read that last month. It has become my entire personality. I am obsessed with it. It's going to be on my top 10 books of the year. It is 5 freaking stars and higher. That one takes place in a post-apocalyptic dystopian world where humans live underground, and there are 2 different warring, like, Fae type people, the kinetics and the elementals, and they use their magic. They're in like a centuries old war. Our main girl has to work as a kinetic, has to work with the elemental main guy, and there's a reason for it, and I can't explain much more than that, and I feel like that was a terrible explanation. I'll probably just pop up a little synopsis for you to take a peek at if you're interested in learning about it further, but I absolutely love this book. It is so good. The spice is spicing, the banter is bantering. It is just a fabulous book, and it will leave you on a very drastic cliffhanger. I will say that now, because the sequel is nowhere in sight. There is a prequel coming out in November, which I'm very excited for. I will say it is trigger warning heavy though, so you might want to check it out because it is a dark fantasy romance and it does have a lot of trauma in it. So make sure to check that out before you actually read that book, but highly recommend. The next books are in no order. They're just whatever I'm holding in my hand at the time. And the next one is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. And so I read this a couple years ago and I really, really enjoyed it. It is a creepy child thriller, which is one of my favorite types of thrillers. I just really love it. So this is about Christopher and Hannah, and they are both doctors and they are having trouble getting pregnant. So they end up adopting this girl named Janie, who was abandoned as a 6-year-old at their hospital. And so they decide that they're going to adopt her. However, she has a lot of problems. She's very behind in her speech and her development and all of these things. And she, for some reason, only acts crazy when the mom is around. She loves the dad, hates the mom, and her creepy child side, evil child side comes out. And let's just say some really creepy shit goes down in this book. Now, I will say, I do think the ending falls very flat. And I don't really understand why it ends the way it ends. So I gave it a 4-star when I read it. But like literally up until that point, it had 5-star potential. So if the ending is not that great, I'm sorry. I'm warning you ahead of time. But it's very, very good. And if you want the evil children vibes, they're in this book. We also have another tried and true favorite, which is basically like an and then there were none type situation. In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. When I read this, I had the best time with it. I don't know if I would love it as much now because I feel like it's not really original, but I had a great time with this. So this is one of those books where we have 6 friends in college and a tragedy happens. One of them ends up dead. They don't know what happened to them. So then about 20 years later, they all get back together for a college reunion, and basically they're there under false pretenses. One of them really wants to find out what happened to their friend, and they're going to do anything they can to find out who actually murdered their friend. And it was fun. It was nothing to cry home about. It was just wild. It was unhinged, and I had a really good time reading it, and it's very fast and very bingeable, so I think this could be a fun one for you to pick up. The next one I have for you is like a cozy horror, which I didn't even know really existed, and I didn't think I would be about it, but this is one of my favorite authors. I've read every book of hers, and I'm patiently awaiting for her newest book to come out, and that is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I loved this. This has like a wonderful female bond. Like the two women in here, like it's not love necessarily, it's like a quiet love, but it's more about their friendship and their like just their bonding and like everything that they go through. It's also a lot of female empowerment, and there is just a lot of really great things happening in the story. So it follows our girl Annie, and she was dumped by her boyfriend that she's been dating for forever, so she wants a new start. So she gets a new position and moves all the way to the other side of the country, to Manhattan. And she meets this one woman who's like a little odd because she might be a little witchy. She basically starts teaching Annie how to live for herself and not rely on other people. And so it's kind of like a book of self-discovery in a sense. And there is a little bit of cozy horror with spiders. So if you're not a spider girly, it might not be the book for you. But I really loved it. I surprisingly loved it. I was not expecting to, but it just kind of snuck up on me. And it's kind of like a warm hug. Then we also have An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This book is not for everyone, but this book was for me, okay? I loved A Dowry of Blood, so I was expecting to absolutely love this, and I did. This one is a Carmilla-esque retelling, okay? We have this women's college in Massachusetts, and we have Laura and Carmilla, and they are both in this writing class with this Professor De La Fontaine, and they're basically trying to be the top writer in the class, so they have like this classroom rivalry, but then their rivalry kind of turns into like something a little more, you know, steamy, and then, you know, some creepy stuff happens that I don't want to allude to about, but there is a sapphic relationship in this, and I was eating this up from the very beginning. I just could not stop reading. It was just so addicting and just so dark, and like dark in a sense of like just, I don't know, toxic in a sense. But yeah, I had a fabulous time with this. If you're in for vampire vibes, read this. And then last one that I'm going to recommend, I could recommend like 5 million other books, but I'm going to stop it here, is the Mind F series by S.T. Abbey. I actually just completed this a little bit ago, and I'm not going to say that this is fantastic writing, because it's not fantastic writing. It's actually pretty bad of writing, but the story is what gets you, okay? So we have our main girl, Lana. She is in her revenge era, okay? She is righting the wrongs and basically killing any man that did something terrible to her 10 years in the past. And she goes through some trauma, okay? So there are a lot of trigger warnings here. While she's also a vigilante serial killer, you know, righting the wrongs and whatnot, she is also sleeping / having a relationship with the main FBI detective who is looking for her, not realizing that he's looking for her. And so, of course, that's going to bite itself in the ass at some point. And so it's their steamy relationship while also being a serial killer girly pop. And this is the bind up, so this is 5 books in one. Each book is about 100 to 150 pages, but it is just a fun, wild ride. That's really all I'm going to tell you. You just have to take the journey for yourself. And then I'm going to really quickly tell you what my TBR is, but I'm not going to explain what they're about, because I hardly know that. This vlog is going to be a million hours if I do that. So I'm just going to pop up which books I want to read. I would love to potentially read The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee, which technically this is winning right now for our October book club, but I accidentally didn't realize that Katie had already read this, so I'm probably going to tell everybody that we're going to pick the second one, and that'll be fine. But I'm excited to read this. I know that it's going to be steamy because Holly Renee writes a lot of steam, and that's all I know going into it. This book also appeared out of nowhere recently to me, but it sounds really good, so I want to get to it soon. And it's a duology, The Umbra King by Jamie Applegate Hunter. All I know is it says the morally gray don't want redemption, they want retribution. And I don't know much more than that. I do love that my copy that I got on Pango came with like art and bookmarks and stuff, and it's signed. And I literally got this for cheapity cheap, so that was awesome. I do need to get this sticker off though. But yeah, I want to read that. I'm going to hold up the second book in the series because the first book is like way down at the bottom of a bookshelf, but I haven't read the first book yet, so I really mean to read Priest Instead of Sinner by Sierra Simone. I would love to absolutely read that series and actually get it started because Priest is not that long. I know it's like a Catholic, dark, steamy, dark romance, and I'm about that. I also would love to possibly get to Mary by Nat Cassidy. I know, I'm like entering a thriller horror era. Like, who am I? Like, dark romance, thriller? Like, does she read that? She used to. Yeah, I've been wanting to read this for a hot minute. And I've heard that it is a Carrie retelling. Basically, what would have happened if Carrie was 40 and all that stuff happened to her, but she didn't have psychic powers. Like, what would she be like at 40? And you know, creepy stuff's going to be creepy. And then I'd also love to possibly get to There Is No Devil by Sophie Lark, because that's the sequel to, what's the first book? There Are No Saints. I read that, absolutely loved it, so I need to finish that duology out, so this would be a great time to do that. So, I mean, serial killers is the vibe, obviously, right now. Okay, the next prompt is for books that start with a W, obviously, because W for werewolves, and so I have a couple good ones for that. The first one is Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. So Jennifer Hillier is actually one of my favorite thriller horror authors. I've read all but 2 of her books, and she has actually come out with a book in 2 years, so I need her to come out with something soon, so I have more to read from her. This one is a fun carnival amusement park themed horror. Apparently a lot of people didn't like this, but it really worked for me. Now I will say, it has not aged well. It was written in like, I think, 2010 or something like that. And there are some things in here that would definitely be questionable now. So just keep that in mind. But this one is, one day, this one girl who just started working at Wonderland gets to work and she finds a dead, decaying body left in the middle of the carnival, the theme park. And so on top of that, there's also some TikTok viral guy, like teenager, that is also missing that same day. And so they then also realize that there have been missing people all throughout the time of the theme park. And so it's basically time to figure out like what's going on. Why are these people missing? Why did that person die? That sort of stuff. And I really liked it. I don't know what to say. Her thrillers read really fast for me. They're always fast paced. I always read them in like a day, and I always have the best time while doing it. Up next, we have my favorite Carrie retelling of all time. And I haven't even read Carrie yet, but this book was phenomenal. And that is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. This book is a fabulous YA book. Like, I really, really enjoyed this. It's basically the story of if Carrie was black, essentially, is all that it is. And so this is about our girl, Madison, and she is always teased, and she has super curly hair, but she always straightens it. And one day it's raining on the track, and her hair gets all wet, and it gets all super curly, and all these people start making fun of her because they discover that she's actually black, because she's able to be white passing, and they find out that she's biracial because of this, and it's a whole entire thing, and she starts getting bullied a lot more. So then, after she's getting bullied and this video goes viral, the high school decides that they're going to like be I guess more supportive of different identities or different ethnicities, and they decide to host the school's first integrated prom. So actually allowing people to mix and mingle at parties. Like, wow, right? And the quarterback asks her to go with him. And so like, you're all wondering like, why is that happening? And then, you know, Carrie comes in and like does psychic power stuff, and it gets a little crazy. This was so good. The commentary was commentarying. There is a podcast element to this, mixed media, like the audio, you need the audio for this because this book is fantastic. Like, I had the best time with this. I was so surprised with how much I enjoyed this. This is a fabulous retelling, and you should definitely read it. Up next, are we going to be surprised that this book is on here? I mean, I'm obsessed with this book, and it's like my entire personality, and I need a fantasy romance to be on this list, and that is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I absolutely love this book. Now, I will say, this book is not for everyone, okay? If you're not a purple prose girly, you don't like whimsical, lyrical writing that is just way overdone and embellished, then this is not going to be for you. But if you are one of those girlies, then we are the same people, okay? I'm not going to explain what this is about because I literally don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry. It's just so convoluted. I could not do it justice, okay? Just know that it has dragons, forbidden love, and you're just going to have to go with that. Then we also have a book that I didn't absolutely love, but I think it was still really good, and that's When the Reckoning Comes by Tanya McQueen. And this is a Southern horror that basically there is a group of kids that they're all friends when they're younger, and then some tragedy happens where they end up like coming apart and they're not really friends anymore. And our one main girl gets an invitation to, like in the trio, she gets an invitation to the girl in the trio's wedding, and it's going to be on an old Southern plantation that is apparently haunted by the Southern slaves' spirits back in their hometown. And so she comes back for this, and then, you know, creepy stuff happens on this plantation, and that's all I'm really gonna say. I did enjoy it. It wasn't a 5-star for me. I think I gave it 3.5, but like, it was really well written, and the atmosphere was very, very good. So if you're wanting a creepy swampland horror, this is the one for you. We also have We Spread by Ian Reid, which I absolutely loved this book. It was one of my favorite books of the year in the year that I read it. I will say it is very heavy trigger warning on Alzheimer's. So like if you have someone that is close to you that has that, or you know, you just can't handle that sort of representation, then don't read this book. It's basically about a person's descent into Alzheimer's, but also like trying to like warp the lines between like what's real and what's not. Like they're living in this assisted living home and this creepy stuff starts happening, and you're reading this book and you're just trying to figure out, is this actually going on? Was this in their mind? Like what's real, what's not? And it's just honestly a really breathtaking but very sad view into what it can be like to start to forget all the things around you and to realize that you have to live life to the fullest while you can. And I absolutely loved it, but it's not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. But I loved it. We also have Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, which I actually really enjoyed this book and I was not expecting to. I read this for Goodreads Thriller 2 years ago. It is a time travel book, so if you love a good time travel moment, then this book is definitely going to be for you. And it has our main character who, she is in her house and all of a sudden she hears noise and she looks outside and her son is murdering a man. And of course she panics because she's like, he's gonna go to jail for this. And so then she wakes up the next morning and it's the day before it had happened. And then every time she wakes up, it's a day before and another day and another day. So eventually she's like 100 days before this murder. And she's trying to find out why her son did it and how to just stop this from happening. And I will say there were some plot twists that I was not expecting, and it actually kept me really engaged the entire time, and I had a really great time with it. So I think that this could be one that really works well for a lot of people. And then the last one I have is The Whispers by Ashley Audrain, and I will say I did not enjoy this book nearly as much as I loved The Push by her. That is like a fabulous creepy child book. The Whispers was just alright. It was a 3-star for me, but I think it's a good place to dive into if you're just starting out in like thriller horror. So this one is about a bunch of southern white women, you know, like the very rich hoity-toity type people, and they all live in like this little small town community, and they're at this party and all of a sudden one of their kids' sons falls out of the window, like, and there's no explanation as to what happens. However, the mom was in the room with him, and so everybody thinks, oh, the mom pushed her son or whatever. And so you're trying to find out what actually happened there, but it also follows 4 perspectives of like different wives within that community and like how everything ties together, how they're all connected, all the secrets that they have in the past. And like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me the best. Like there were just some perspectives I was like, why are we getting this? And like, I feel like it kind of was one of those books that like has a mystery, but the mystery doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, of course there's like a solution and everything, like, but I'm just saying, I think it could work really well though, because like if you love reading about like rich people drama, then this is definitely a very rich people drama intensive book. And now let's get to a couple that I'm interested in reading. So I have Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. I don't really know a lot about this book at all. All I know is it says, how do you kill a god? And you know what? I don't know, but I bet we're going to find out in this. And I'm excited. It looks like it could be a fun little time. I also have one that Steph from Steph's Bookish really read recently and really liked, and so they made me want to pick it up sooner than later. Plus the cover is just gorgeous, and that's Where the Dark Stand Still by A.B. Poranek. It is a beautiful cover, and it's a YA book, and it says, what dark secrets lie hidden in the spirit wood? And I think it has a different type of fae, like monsters in this book, and yeah, I think it's going to be cozy and fun, and I just really hope that this book does not disappoint me. We have a book that I know without a doubt I will be getting to, because the other 2 books that I've read by this author I've absolutely loved. She's becoming a favorite author of mine for sure, and this is the only one that I haven't read yet, and that's Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. I absolutely loved, what is it called? Bring Me Your Midnight, and I loved The Nature of Witches. I loved both of those books so very much. And plus this book is beautiful underneath, okay? I know that they all always have to do with like controlling the elements. Mere Midnight, it was controlling the tide from like the moon and the ocean, and in The Nature of Witches, it was controlling the 4 elements like wind, air, earth, fire. So I'm not entirely sure which one is going to be in this, but I just know that it's going to be great because I really love her writing. And then I also have The Witch Collector by Carissa Weeks, because I've been wanting to read this for a while. I know that it has great ASL representation. I'm pretty sure. I think the main character is deaf, if I'm getting it right. Plus, like, this edition is just very pretty, okay? But I don't know a lot more than that. And you know what? I don't think I need to know more than that, but I hope I get to this soon. And then one that would be good, because I'm pretty sure it has a werewolf in it, would be Wolf Song by TJ Klune. It's at the bottom of my shelf, so no way am I going to get that. But I've enjoyed other TJ Klune books, or at least the one that I've read, The House Across the Cerulean Sea, so I'm sure I'll also enjoy this as well. So I do want to get to that series sooner than later. Next prompt is for books with the moon on the cover, obviously for like the full moon, turning into not a vampire, a werewolf and whatnot. And so the first recommendation that I have for you is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandy Sandy. I enjoyed this book. It was not my favorite, but we've learned I'm not a cozy fantasy girly and I'm not a boat fantasy girly. But this book was very fun and it gives very much Princess Bride vibes. So if you like that type of book, then you're going to enjoy this. And this one follows our main girl, Tress. She falls in love with this prince essentially, and they both care for each other very much. The son does not really approve of them getting to be together, but before they can even be together, something happens and the son is kidnapped. And so Tress is on this mission to find him and do whatever she needs to do to save him so that she can be with him. And she encounters all of these found family-esque friends along the way, and there's battles and there's all this different stuff, and she's on a mythical boat journey, okay? But this book is so fun. The audiobook you need to have because the audiobook is fantastic. I really did enjoy this book and it's very cute. And like I said, if you're in for a good Princess Bride moment, then this is the book for you. The next one we have is Hollow by Karina Halley, and it is a Legends of Sleepy Hollow retelling. And this is the first book in a duology. I ate this up, okay? If you know what Sleepy Hollow is about, then it's basically that. But if our main girl was stuck between being in love with Brahm, like the Headless Horseman guy, or the Headless Horseman guy, and this other character from her past, which I can't remember his name right now, but it is very steamy, and it has those gothic dark romancy vibes. I love the series. I need to finish the last book because it was just so stinking good, but oh, I just love this book so much. Then we have A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley as well, which this is actually my host favorite, so you could knock out 2 birds with 1 stone and get more points for this by reading this because it's my host favorite. And if you're on Team Werewolves, you get even more points because it's not only a faction leader favorite, or it's not only a host favorite, it's your faction leader's favorite, and it has a moon on the cover, so get all the points in one. This one is a dark fantasy Little Mermaid retelling. I will say emphasis on the dark. There is some dark stuff that goes on. But basically, it's what would have happened if Ariel, marries her Prince Eric. But Prince Eric actually turns out to be a terrible person. And she's in a very bad relationship with him. And about a couple of years down the line, they're going out to sea and they get ransacked by the evil pirate king. And he takes her as his prisoner, or them as their prisoners. And what would happen in that situation. And I'm not going to say more than that, but it is steamy. It is hilarious. I laughed many times. I just love this book. I love the way Karina Halley writes. I really like it. And I think everybody should read this book. It is just a fun, spicy time. And there is now kind of like a spin-off series book that I need to get to very soon. Then I also have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, which I really enjoyed this book. There are some people that say it's a questionable twist at the end, but I don't. I think the way that it was done was actually not bad, so like take that with a grain of salt. But Hidden Pictures is another creepy-ish type of child book where we have our girl and she is down on her luck and she's about 16 or 17, I'm pretty sure, and she needs a job. So she gets hired to be a live-in nanny essentially for this very rich family and their little kid who's having a lot of issues and starts drawing creepy pictures of things going on in his house. And she's trying to get to the bottom of it and figure out what's really going on and what's haunting this family. And I thought it was really good. I read this in like a day. I could not stop reading. I will say you're going to want the physical book and you're going to want the audiobook because there are actual pictures. But if you only have the audiobook, then they describe the pictures to you, but that's not the same. You're going to want to see these pictures for yourself. It went to a place that I was not expecting, but I very much enjoyed it. Now on to books to my TBR for that. And of course, I have a big one to start with. And the moon is there. It's just small up there. It's Blood Mercy by Villa Roth, which I'm supposed to read this for every romantasy anyway. So I honestly need to be getting to this. And this one is vampires though. And it says it's one human, one immortal. Will their alliance save the kingdom or will their forbidden love be a death sentence? I don't know, but I read the prequel novella for this, Blood Price, a couple months ago and I absolutely ate it up. I think it's very good and different representation of vampires, and the writing is very good, and it is a more political heavy fantasy romance, so if you're into that, we could both enjoy it. Also was interested in reading Fadebound by Sarah El Sarafi. I've put this on a couple of TBRs this year, and I just have not gotten to it yet, and I feel like this is the perfect time to get to it. It says, 2 elven sisters become imprisoned in the intoxicating world of the Fae where danger and love lie in wait. And I've heard really excellent things about this, so I feel like I just need to get to this. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't put this book on there because it has the biggest moon on the cover ever, and Brittany will surely love for me to read this, and that is Godkiller by Hannah Kane. I mean, it's short and sweet. I should get to this, right? It just says, enter a land of gods and monsters, soldiers and mercenaries, secrets and wishes. And I don't remember a lot more than this. I do know it has a lot of representation, like disability rep and all these other types of representation. I'm pretty sure queer rec. So honestly, I feel like need to prioritize it. Another one that I want to get to, but I'm not going to pull off of my shelves because it's at the bottom, is The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. It is a Viking romantasy, which I have not read one of those yet, so I'm sure it's going to be an excellent time. I don't remember what it's about, but you know what? I'm sure it'll be good. Another one that is absolutely going to be read, because it is actually my Tortured Readers book club for September, is Threaded by Tay Rose. Has 2 moons on it, so I'm very excited for getting this. I don't really know anything about this. It just says, love is a weakness. Mariah must never forget that, but will she fall prey to it anyways? I'm also excited to read this because I'm pretty sure that she is going to be at Villains and Vixens this next year, if I got it right, that I'm going to. And so I definitely want to read this so that I can, you know, get to talk to her about it. But yeah, gonna be read. And then one that I might get to, just because I do want to read all of Grady Hendrix's backlist, even though I don't know why, because like he's pretty much missed with me. The only book that I've liked of his was The Final Girl Support Group, and now that I think about it, I don't think I would like it if I read it at this current time. But that is My Best Friend's Exorcism, because I want to read all of his backlist, okay? And I don't think I need to explain that. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory from the title what it's going to be about. And the last prompt is Shapeshifter Recs, and I'm not gonna lie, I have not read a lot of Shapeshifter Rec books. I just don't read a lot of werewolf books. I read 1,000,001 vampire books, of course, and so if I was on Team Vampires, I would have 1,000,000 recs for this. So I only have 3. The first one is Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison, and like I said, I love Rachel Harrison, so I'm not surprised that she's on here more than once. But this one is about this girl named Rory, and she has to move back to her hometown. I'm not gonna say why. But she has to move back to her hometown to basically help her twin sister Scarlett, who is pregnant and is not with the baby's father at this point and wants support. So she moves back to like her hometown, doesn't want to move there, of course. Then she ends up, you know, going to a bar and having a run-in with her old flame and hits an animal with her car and then ends up getting attacked. And then she slowly is starting to shift and turn into a wolf, and thinks she's going crazy in the process. And that's all I'm gonna say, but it's very good. It has a lot of commentary on motherhood and like not wanting to be a mother and just, you know, just get all into that sort of deal. So this is a good one for that. And we have a fun graphic novel for this, and this is Squad by Maggie Takuda Hall. And it's basically, what if the popular girls at school were a pack of werewolves? And that's all I'm really gonna tell you about it. However, with graphic novels, you need to read at least 2 to submit it, but they don't have to be from the same series. And so you could also read, which I haven't read this one, but it also has vampires in it, Fangs, which is apparently a relationship between a vampire and a werewolf. So if you read those 2, that could be a good time. And then I'm just going to hold up the last book in the series, or the 8th book in the series apparently, because that's just what I'm holding up. But I mean, you could recommend this whole series. It would be Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti, because there are all different types of monsters in this book. There's sirens, there's werewolves, there's vampires, like there's many different types of animals in this. And so there are shapeshifters in this. And if you don't know this series, it's basically about these 2 girls, and they stumble into the Zodiac Academy and are basically fighting to be heirs to the throne that they're rightfully inherited. And it's just the story of, you know, getting through this academy alive, basically. And each book, you know, gets relatively bigger and bigger. Like this is book number 8, and this is over 1,000 pages long. Why? I don't freaking know, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I will say, the writing is not the greatest, but the story will really suck you in. And then we're going to talk about the books that I plan on actually reading. And the first one would be That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemming. I will say, did not enjoy the first book. Probably will not enjoy this one either. But as soon as I knew that I was going to be on Team Werewolves, I knew that I had to read this book. And so I'm going to. And all I know is it's about a girl that accidentally drops a love potion onto a werewolf, and he ends up falling in love with her, because that's what love potions do. So I am interested to see. I did like the werewolf character in book 1, so maybe I'll like a book that's dedicated to him. I don't know. And we also have A Curse of Blood and Wolves by Melissa McTiernan, which this also will give you community prompts for the word curse in the title. And this is my Fairy Loot edition, and it's very pretty. But I've not heard good things about this book. I'm not going to lie. It has a very low rating on Goodreads. But you know what? I have it. I have an excuse to read it now. I've literally been holding on to it for months for this purpose so that I can read it, and then I can sell it on Pango after I don't end up enjoying it. But it just says, can you be drawn to someone you've never met? A steamy reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. So we're going to go with it. We have a book that I only bought so I could read it for a werewolf vlog. I had no intention of reading this because I'm kind of done with Allie Hazelwood, but I felt like this had to be done, and that is Bride by Allie Hazelwood. And it says it's a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in this enthralling new paranormal romance. All of my friends have told me not to read this and that this is not good, but you know what? I got to do it for the vlog, so we're going to be reading it. And then the one that I'm most excited for, I saw, I think, April share this cover on Instagram, and I immediately was like, yeah, I'm reading that. I don't care if it's bad. I'm reading that. It's Goldie and the Big Bad Werewolf by Candace O'Meara. You cannot tell me that this is not a stunning cover and that you wouldn't read it. It looks beautiful. Now, is it going to be good? I don't know. I'm expecting a good smutty time. That's all I'm really expecting here. I'm not expecting a big intensive plot, okay? But it's going to be red. And with that, that is all of the main prompts for Werewolves. I hope you got some really good book recommendations. I hope I get some good recs out of this. If you got to the end of this, then let's put a wolf emoji for Team Werewolves. You can let me know what team you're actually on, or you can let me know which of these books I definitely should get to out of the ones that I recommended for my own self, or if you like any of the books I recommended, let me know how you're feeling in the comments down below. And please make sure to go check out now, support her readathon, go join. You don't have to do the competitive route. You can do the easy route if you wish. She has set it up so perfectly in that way. And other than that, if you're still around, thanks for being around. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, you know, follow along, comment. It really helps support my journey, and I appreciate each and every one of you. You can also follow me over on Instagram at rainybluereads. And with that, I'll see you guys in a video very soon.